Joe Manchin wants to fix up programs like Social Security, SSDI, and SSI, which is really scaring some other lawmakers when it comes to the stimulus package. Also, what 11 Democrats are urging President Biden to do immediately, and some advice on the next stimulus package from an old but yet very familiar name. All of that plus more in this video, so let's get into it right away. But really quickly before we do, thank you so much for joining me. If you're new here or if you haven't done so yet, make sure to hit the subscribe button right down below the video, as I'm here for you every single day with all of the latest updates and maintaining my commitment, which is to help you out in any way that I possibly can through these videos every single day as your one and only daily advocate. So again, thank you so much for watching, subscribe down below, and let's get right into this. All right, so yes, it probably comes as a little bit of a shock to hear that Joe Manchin actually does want to shore up and fix some of these major social programs like Social Security, SSDI, SSI, VA, and these other fixed income benefits. Why do you say that? Well, Joe Manchin was just out the other day making a speech and talking about this $1.85 trillion reconciliation bill. Essentially what he was saying is he does not support plowing more money into new social programs as a result of the $1.85 trillion reconciliation bill, but rather he believes let's fix up the programs that are already in place right now, like Social Security, SSDI, SSI, VA, and Medicare. So this is actually kind of an interesting strategy because with this next $1.85 trillion reconciliation bill, there are multiple different social programs in there where they're going to be piling literally hundreds of billions of dollars into these programs. Now, I'm not saying it's a bad thing or anything like that at all. I'm simply saying it's interesting to hear that Joe Manchin says, hey, let's take all this money and actually fix up the programs right now that are actually already in place and have been in place for many, many decades. Let's take that money and actually fix up these programs rather than just starting all these new social programs. Hey, might not be such a bad strategy after all, right? I mean, here's the deal. For all of the tens of millions of beneficiaries drawing on Social Security, SSDI, retirement benefits, survivors, SSI, VA, that's about 80 million people in total across all those programs. That's a lot of people, right? So it'd probably make more sense to maybe take a bunch of money and just shore up these programs. Make sure that everybody drawing on these benefits is getting an equitable standard of living, lifted at or above the poverty line, and they could be doing so many other things to these programs rather than starting other social programs. Kind of makes sense. I don't know. But again, I'm not here to agree with Joe Manchin and I'm not here to disagree, but rather just kind of talk through these points objectively with you. And it's probably kind of a good thing, right? I mean, let's be real. Everybody needs their Social Security benefits to be raised immediately. SSDI benefits raised, retirement, survivors, SSI, VA, everything raised up because the benefits that most people are getting right now is not enough to live on, right? Yeah, we know that right now. All right. But when it comes to these other lawmakers, they're getting a little bit scared about this because now that they've lost a lot of their leverage when it comes to this next stimulus package because of the infrastructure bill, they're saying, hey, we might get this whole thing chopped up. We might lose a lot of these social programs that we're working on because we don't have any leverage anymore, like I talked about in my last video just a few hours ago. Interesting, right? Yeah, so we'll watch that very closely and see what happens to this next reconciliation bill. All right, what 11 Democrats are urging President Biden to do right now? Can you guess what it is? Well, it's kind of interesting, but I'm surprised who is backing this up. These 11 Democrats wrote a letter to President Biden urging him to dip into the petroleum reserves to lower gas prices in the United States. So as we know, the national average for 1 gallon of gas right now continues to rise literally on a weekly basis. Well, as a result of that, these 11 Democrats wrote a letter to President Biden and said, hey, we've got to release some of the petroleum reserves, and we need to lower the price of gas to help out people during this time right now. In fact, just some simple statistics right now. 1 gallon of gas is actually $1 more than it was at this time last year. Gas prices right now are at 7-year highs, and crude oil continues to make 7-year highs as well. So yeah, crude oil is over $84 a barrel right now. That all of it is flowing right back to us, the consumer, every time we go out to the gas station and fill up our cars with gas. Gas continues to get even more expensive. Yeah, interesting, right? So maybe he'll actually do that. Remember back in the day, a long, long time ago, Some other presidents have done that as well, and it did help lower the gas price a little bit. It doesn't help a ton, but at least a little bit. A little bit helps, especially when everything else out there is going up so much right now. All right, some advice on the next stimulus package from an old but yet very familiar voice. Steven Mnuchin. Remember him? We haven't heard about him in a long time. But yeah, he was the previous Treasury Secretary. I used to call him in my videos Stevie Boy. Remember that? Yeah. So anyway, Steve Mnuchin was out today in an interview, and he was saying that this next reconciliation bill and this infrastructure bill, basically all this government spending going on right now, as we have $29 trillion in national debt right now, is just going to fuel even more inflation. If we're looking to lower inflation, we need to do a couple things. Number one, we need to stop all the government spending. By the way, these are words from Steve Mnuchin. Again, I'm just bringing you the information. But Steve Mnuchin is basically saying we need to stop all the government spending. And number two, we need to normalize interest rates. Right now, the Federal Reserve is in control of interest rates. Like I've said before, the Federal Reserve is basically like the leprechaun behind like the printing press and things like that, and they're controlling interest rates. Well, the reason why inflation is running so hot is because they're printing so much money. Everything's going on right now. So Steve Mnuchin is saying if we can slow down all the government spending and actually normalize interest rates, it's going to slow down all of this inflation in a massive way. In fact, if you caught my video from a few hours ago, according to the latest surveys, they're suggesting inflation is going to be running at about 5.4% higher in 1 year from right now. Once again, that's a scary situation, right? So we're looking at inflation running way, way hot for basically the next 12 months or so. Yeah, not a good situation when the purchasing power of our dollars is literally depleting on a daily basis. Scary times, right? All right, one more quick little point here I want to point out and just let you know what's going on. So remember, I brought this to you just the other day. Starting January 4th, the new vaccine mandate is going to be put in place, right? So any company with employers of over 100 are going to be required to have all of their employees fully vaccinated or subject to wearing mask wearing all the time and weekly testing. Well, as a result of that, some people can actually opt out of vaccines for medical and religious reasons. Well, yeah, we're actually seeing a lot of that right now. One example, I just saw an article talking about this. Boeing alone, like Boeing, you know, the airplanes that fly across the sky, you know, that the airplane maker, right? Boeing. So they have already over 11,000 people who have applied for exemptions for medical and religious reasons. And remember, that cannot be attested, by the way. When people apply for this and file for exemption for medical and religious reasons, they can't be questioned on that. They can't be pulled aside and be like, hey, give me a reason for why you're applying for exemption on this. They can't do that. They just basically have to say, okay, for medical or religious reasons, we accept your reasoning for why you can't actually get vaccinated. So we're probably going to be seeing this a lot across other large corporations. But think of that. And basically these 11,000 people in Boeing as well have basically said, kind of take it or leave it. If you don't want to give us the exemption, then we're fine just walking off the job. Ooh, that'd be a big blow, right? That would not be a good situation. Imagine that. If all of a sudden we saw these huge corporations losing thousands upon thousands of people due to this. So it's going to be kind of a day of reckoning when early January comes around. Again, I'm not here to tell you one way or the other. I'm not here to persuade people, but rather I'm just giving you the information. And this is kind of interesting watching this whole thing play out. And it's certainly going to be very interesting in the next couple months here, basically 2 months from now, when that vaccine mandate rolls out, and that rolls across all these corporations right now. It's going to be interesting to see this whole thing play out and see if people just start saying, you know what, well, it was a good run and I'm out of here. You know what I mean? Or if people get the exemption for medical or religious reasons, and or if people just retire, quit, or just go in for regular mask wearing or testing. It's going to be interesting to see how this whole thing plays out, right? Well, there's a lot of lawsuits that are actually being filed right now against the Biden administration when it comes to the vaccine mandate. So a lot of weird stuff going on right now. Seriously, there are so many weird things going on out there right now. It's like unreal, this world that we're living in. Again, I'm not here to take sides. I'm not here to persuade people. I'm simply just telling you the stuff that's going on, and it's kind of weird, you know what I mean? This whole post-COVID stuff. Well, it's not even post. I mean, it's still going crazy right now. It kind of feels post, but it's not, right? But anyway, This is what I have for you right now. Again, a lot of weird stuff since my last update, but I wanted to bring you another update and let you know what's going on right now. Of course, I'll be back tomorrow with some more good information. We've seen some pretty good updates lately on some of these programs and some of these initiatives that we've seen rolling out over the last few months here. A lot of good stuff out there. So I'll be back in the morning with another great update for you. And thanks so much for watching. If you haven't done so yet, please make sure to hit the subscribe button right down below the video. It's totally free to do so, and I'm here for you every single day as your one and only daily advocate, helping you out in any way that I possibly can. And make sure to continue watching, leaving your comments down below, and of course, subscribing and hitting the like button so that you can be eligible for the little stimulus checks that, yes, are still going out each and every week, and the special code words that I embed in my videos that could grab you $100. Yeah, pretty cool stuff, right? So thanks again. I really do appreciate you. Enjoy your day. I'll catch you again later in the next video. I'll see you.